The Phillies are going to play the Blue Jays today. That's a fact.
Technically, I don't know if this still matters anymore, but considered the natural rival that you play in the opposite league. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
that's who the Phillies are.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some all-star picks. Kevin Gausman, not an all-star? Are you serious? It's on Locked On Blue Jays. It's right now.
It is right now. It's actually happening exactly at this.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Matt Bonaparte, Ben Shulman with you on this Tuesday. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every Tuesday. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So let's talk about the All-Stars that have made the team from the Jays. You've got Alek Manoah, Jesus Christ. Alek Manoah in his first ever All-Star game. You've got Vladdy in his second ever, and Alejandro Kirk in his first. Very exciting for a couple of firsts, some newbies, and a young Vladimir Guerrero gets his second star on his cap. Pretty exciting. Who got snubbed besides Kevin Gausman? Oh, I also forgot George Springer. He exists too.
Yeah, that's his fourth.
Yes.
I don't know. To me, the only true snub I think is Kevin Gausman. And I don't know if you want me to dive into that. But other than that, I mean, I think some people are going to honestly just say, who is Andres Gimenez? And are we sure that he's better than Bo Bichette? I'd be lying if I told you I watched a lot of Andres Gimenez baseball this year. But his defensive WAR is really good, allegedly. And apparently he's a really good defender. And I've even seen some stuff from Cleveland fans where they've debated, like, would you prefer to have Lindor back or still have Gimenez?
Gimenez, he's playing incredibly well. He's got a 299 average and 833 OPS. He's got 40 RBIs. I mean, his defense is impeccable. Bo is just also having a down year. I mean,
it sounds like
his just numbers aren't there. So I don't really think there's a real argument there. I mean, would I take Bo instead of Andres Gimenez if I was creating a team today?
Yeah.
Probably. But this year, Bo's not an all-star.
I don't know. Who's the next close? Like, so you probably
Lourdes was close.
Yeah, what, to Andrew Benintendi?
I believe so.
Because Julio Rodriguez, Kyle Tucker, Byron Buxton, like those guys are better than Lourdes Gurriel.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was Benintendi or Lourdes. And what's funny about it is Lourdes, like, you saw his name there and you were like, what? That guy is getting all-star consideration? And then, like, as it got closer, you were like, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, he's hitting 295. Like, he's fine.
He hit like
he's almost there.
But
I still think that Benintendi deserved it over him, but he definitely, like, made a case for himself. They're not too far apart. I mean, if like people like to go by OPS instead of average, like, that's fine. Benintendi's OPS 790, Lourdes 772. The thing that hurts Lourdes a ton, even though Benintendi also doesn't have it, just that Lourdes is kind of marketed this way, is that his power numbers is just not there at all in terms of the home run statistic. I mean, his slugging's fine, but 5 home runs, not great. Benintendi, a guy who's not known for home runs, only has 3. But still, I mean, it's not going to hurt, or it's not going to help. I think it was all pretty much justified outside of Gausman, though.
Yeah, and he's also hurt by the fact that, like, every team gets an all-star representative, and for the Royals, it was so blatantly, like, Benintendi over someone else, that it was going to be pretty hard for the Royals to find a different all-star if you were that passionate about Lourdes. So Lourdes kind of had to be a starter or else he was going to get canned. But yeah, I agree with you. I really think the only major snub is the man with, an ERA in the 2s, Kevin Gausman.
And another conversation we had early in the year about who's an all-star right now when it was like May was Jordan Romano's name was almost always there. he kind of fell off a little bit, but I mean, his numbers are still really, really good. 31 innings pitched, 35 strikeouts, a 2.61 ERA. He's been pretty effective. A 1-2 whip, not fantastic, but it's fine. He's been pretty effective out of the pen, but I can't confidently say he's better than Gregory Soto, Manuel Clase, Clay Holmes. Like, I just don't think he is.
No, and I think one thing that really helped him out early on, because I don't think either of us ever thought, okay, he's for sure the best closer, but he did have the most saves for a while. He was put in the most opportunities and cashed in the most of anyone. As the Blue Jays have A, gotten better offensively and won bigger more, and B, played poorly recently, he just hasn't had nearly as many opportunities. So without him having the lead in saves, I think his whole case kind of fell apart. And yeah, he's having a good year, but he's not an all-star. But I do, and we talked about a little bit before the show. In a way, like you said, you weren't surprised when we were talking before the show, and in a way, I'm not either. But I think that there's no way Garrett Cole should be an all-star and Kevin Gausman should not. I just don't think that should be a thing.
I agree with you. I mean, Cole's numbers just aren't there. Like, he was fine. He's been good at times. He's had good games. He's had bad games. I mean, that Twins game where he just got blown up, that was brutal. But the thing that's most perplexing about it to me is that you could make the argument that um, there are a couple guys on the Yankee staff that are having better years than him, which is a little bit crazy. Um, I don't know if I would make that argument, but like you could certainly argue that Luis Severino and Jordan Montgomery are more effective than him, just because they don't blow up like he has in the past. And like, sure, his strikeout numbers are far better than theirs, but still, like Severino has a better ERA, he has a better WHIP. Um, and he's let up less home runs. Like he's been as effective or better. And it totally comes down to the fact that Cole is a big name who didn't have a bad year.
Yeah,
And I think the MLB justifies that enough by saying, all right, let's market the heck out of this guy. People know his name. They want to see him pitch in the All-Star game. And that's just kind of the way baseball is. And I think a lot of major sports are, where if you make a name for yourself, I mean, Garrett Cole, whether he cheated or not in the season with the sticky stuff, his 20, what was it, 2018? No, his 2019 was
nice.
absolutely bonkers. And that kind of just threw him through the stratosphere and onto everybody's radar. I mean, when you have 326 strikeouts in a season and you're 20-5, everybody's going to know who you are, even though you didn't win the Cy Young that year because Verlander did instead. Everybody's going to know who you are. And kind of from that point on, he became a superstar within the sport. He demanded a huge contract. The Yankees gave it to him. And he hasn't been terrible with the Yankees. I mean, in no season has he had an ERA above a 3.2. So the guys, I mean, if you're going to have a fine enough season, you're going to be an all-star kind of thing.
But we just went in a lot of places that didn't include this year to try and justify Garrett Cole being an all-star, which I think just further proves that they completely blew it and should have given it to Gausman. I mean, Cole's ERA is like a 3.25 or something.
3.26 right now, yeah.
Is it 2.86? Cole strikes out a lot of guys. Do you have his numbers up? What's his strikeouts per nine?
He struck out 124 guys in 99 and a third. That is good for an 11.2 strikeout per nine.
It's better than Gausman's, don't get me wrong, but Gausman struck out 100 guys in 88 innings for a 10-2 strikeout per nine, and Gausman doesn't walk anyone. He's walked 16 batters this year. His strikeout to walk is 6.25. He's got the best FIP in all of Major League Baseball, which would indicate that the defense behind him may have cost him a little bit of runs. He's given up the fewest home runs per nine in all of baseball. He's just been nasty. And like,
he deserves a spot. 100%.
In a move to the toughest division in baseball from maybe, a somewhat comfortable place being in the National League when there was still no DH and being in a ballpark that's not that easy to hit home runs in, like San Francisco.
I think people also like to use the argument like ace on the best team kind of thing. Like whenever it comes to MVP conversation season, Cy Young season, like you always hear, all right, well, who's the best player on the best team? Who's the best pitcher on the best team kind of thing. I don't really subscribe to that. Like, I think there's some merit to it just because, you have to be a leader and like you have to, if you're going to be the best pitcher on the best team, whatever. But I just don't think. I mean, if you're going to stack up two guys next to each other, like especially in baseball where it's more of a team sport than any other, like the argument just not does not fly for me. And I think Cole's having a good year, and I think almost everybody would want him on their team, but Kevin Gosman's objectively having a better one.
Yeah, I think he was the snub. Other than that, I think the Jays definitely were served right, and it's cool that they have 4 different All Stars. So that is pretty fun.
Totally. All right, let me give you some talk about Built Bar as we head into a new game that Ben is giving us. So get excited for that. From the people who invented healthy and tasty comes the latest gift to your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built Bar, but guess what? Your friends at Built have given coconut brownie chunk puffs the puffs treatment. That's right, the coconut brownie chunk Built Bar flavor you love in a deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. Coconut brownie chunk puffs are only here for a limited time. Go to built.com now to make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste amazing. And all Built Bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15.
All right, we're debuting a new game here on Locked On Blue Jays. He's Matt Bonaparte. And I'm Ben Shulman. This is a tentative name because it doesn't totally make sense for the game, but I'm going to call it This or That. That's the game, This or That. I'm going to ask you a question, and usually there's going to be 2 options. Occasionally there's going to be slightly more, and you're just going to have to pick between them and explain why.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we're going to do, and let's do it. Here's the first ever question. This is kind of one of the things that sparked the idea of the game. Which Blue Jay moment would you have rather been at and why? Jose Bautista's 2015 bat flip at the end of the crazy 7th inning from hell, where they beat the Rangers, first playoff series win since '93. Or Dave Steeb's no-hitter, to this day the only no-hitter in Major League or in Blue Jays history, came in 1990 on the road. He had thrown like 6 near-miss no-hitters, 4 that went to the 9th inning in the previous 2 years. So this was kind of like knocking on the door, and he finally busted down. Which those events do you think you would rather go see?
It's got to be Bautista's bat flip. I mean, that was like one of the most exciting moments of the in sports for the last 20 years. I mean, that was like insane. Everybody saw that. Everybody watched it. It was the spotlight was on the Blue Jays for so long right there. I mean, that was just one of the most hype moments we've ever seen. I mean, that homer, that bat flip. Also, Bautista just being such a polarizing character, and a guy that I think a lot of people hated. Watching him just launch a nuke and then launch the bat, it was. I have to pick that. And you're so lucky you got to be there.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, in most of these I will pick, and I get to sound a little spoiled, I guess, but it's hard for me to like take this question on because I've seen one and not seen the other. So like, I really want to see the no hitter. My dad was at both. He was just on the road. He was not a broadcaster when Dave Steeb threw the no hitter. He went on the road to Cleveland to see the Jays play, and Dave Steeb threw a no hitter. Yeah, I think it's such different eras of Blue Jays history that I think will really split our listener and viewers kind of down the middle. Because like at the moment where Steve throws the no-hitter, the Blue Jays have made the playoffs twice, but Steve's like their only notable player, and this is such a big conquest for him and to get there. But then you go to this, and like some would say, those who watched through the 90s would say like, oh, well, it was an ALDS, and how much do you really care? But at the same time, like it's the best playoff run of my lifetime. And that 7th inning, I still will say could be the greatest inning in all, or the most dramatic inning in like Major League Baseball history, with the way the Rangers score off a throwback from Russell Martin hitting Shin-Soo Choo in the hand while he's standing at the plate, and just all the errors from Elvis Andrus. So yeah, that is a wild moment. No one actually saw the bat flip because they were looking at the ball. And I will stand by that. At least I didn't see it, but I don't believe anyone who says they actually saw it. But I saw it in the car on the way back after, I can tell you that. All right. So you chose Bautista bat flip. Second, this or that. This is the one we have where it's not two options. And I actually have a little overlay for you. So our YouTube audience will see. Blue Jays logos. Which Blue Jays logo do you like best and why?
I think this is going to be like a terribly hot take. I think everybody.
No way you pick 04 to 11. You like
It's
the
so-
black and silver? It's the worst.
It's just the one that I grew up with.
Same.
That is the one that I began to like. When I see that logo, okay. Here's what I'll say. I think that logo objectively looks the worst. I don't even think it's close. I think all of them look better than that one.
So
but
that's
I like that one
logo,
the best.
but it's not the one you think that is nice.
No, it easily looks the worst. It's not even close. But I like it the most because I like it gives me nostalgia. Like I look at that and I think of like Ricky Romero and Vernon Wells and Alex Rios and like all those guys. I honestly think the one that looks the best is either the one they use now or the one from the 70s, the first one, because I love the way the Blue Jay looks in the first one. So it's either the first one or the last one, but my favorite is the terrible one.
Okay. I respect the reasoning. I definitely get nostalgic, although I hated the logos when I was a kid because all I would see was like my dad talking about them and the beautiful powder blues that they used from 70s to 90s and all the actual nice jerseys they had. But yeah, I think probably the oldest one's the best one. I agree with you. First and last, like the simpler it is, the better. And they just kind of like the 2001 to 2003 logo we're seeing. There's a lot going on there.
Well, it's kind of funny because if you look at it, you kind of see that they follow the like trends of whatever logos were at the time. Like early 2000s with that 2001 to 2003, like that's very reminiscent to me of like that early Bucks logo with like the deer just like hanging out. And like there were a lot of logos like that in the early 2000s. And then as like time went on, it was about simpler things and people wanted simplistic logos. And then it seemed like all of sports in the 2010s like just did the circle thing.
Yeah, everyone
like especially like almost every single NBA team did the circle.
They still do.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised that the Jays were like, all right, we'll do the circle thing. They went ahead and did it. But I think that it looks way better. Honestly, I think I'd probably pick the one now, but I do like the Blue Jay in the first one better.
The light blue head of the like top of the head of the first one is cool.
I agree.
All right. Well, that's the second one. Here's the last one, the only non-Blue Jay related one. This is a this or that baseball invention edition. So in 1977, Dusty Baker allegedly invented the high five after he hit his 30th home run, becoming the fourth Dodger to hit 30 home runs that year. And he saw his teammate's hand up in the air and he just slapped it. If you go to the Wikipedia page, the quote, if you're wondering if these guys like invented the high five, read the way they talk about high-fiving so unnaturally, they must have invented it because it's like a foreign. They're like,
I slapped his hand.
I thought nothing could be done but slap it. Or in 1982, when a banker went into a restaurant asking for a sandwich and instead got this new style of food called a wrap made by Bobby Valentine. And I've broken bones.
I knew you were going to do that. I was going to bring it up if you didn't. That's so funny. That is so funny.
In reference to our audience, Bones is from the same hometown as Bobby Valentine.
Oh, my God.
Inventor of the rap.
My grandfather, I'll give the audience context. My grandfather once told me that Bobby Valentine claimed that he invented nachos. And I was like, well, that's just blasphemous. There's not a chance Bobby Valentine invented nachos. So Bobby Valentine has like kind of just been a thing that we always reference because he's like a big figure from where we're from. So we always reference him when we were kids and like when we were teenagers or whatever. So my best friend, it was his birthday and I got him a cameo from Bobby Valentine. And I just like asked him in the cameo, I was like, is it true that you invented nachos? Because that's like the big joke. So he gives it back. He sends me the video and he goes, no, it wasn't nachos. It was the rap. It was the rap. I invented the rap.
And if you Google it, at least some people believe it and have written it.
New York Times says it, right?
Yeah. They don't fully say they know for sure. And
Only Bobby
Valentine
really knows.
does admit in the article that like there were burritos before. But what he's claiming is that putting ingredients, it's such a niche invention, to an American sandwich in a tortilla because it was a club that he made for that banker, he says. So I
I
read up.
gotta ride. I gotta ride with my guy Bobby on this one. I'll take the rap.
This was the actual inspiration for this game. Because someone recently stopped me, and one of the great sentences I've ever heard in my life. They stopped me and they said, "You seem pretty smart. Did Dusty Baker invent the high five?" It's just like, what? Thank you, I guess. I didn't know A, that's something a smart person would know, or B, I'm the resource for that. So I Googled it. It's true. Dusty Baker did allegedly invent the high five. So now it comes down to the question: which one do you like more?
I'm riding with Bobby. I'm taking the rap.
I know you take the rap. All right, yeah. I'm gonna say the high five just because I love the way. Like, please, if you're listening or watching us, Wikipedia invention of the high five. The way they talk about it is hilarious. And Dusty Baker inventing the high five was just a very funny statement someone said to me. So, yeah, that's all we got today for this or that. We're going to come back with some betting lines. But before we do that, you can save yourself a little bit of money if you stop trusting your local auto chain parts store. Instead, go after, someone who's not going to ask you intimidating questions like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? And wait while they order parts on their computer, choosing the only brand that their warehouse happens to carry. Instead, you can use what you're watching or maybe listening to this episode on right now, your computer, and access rockauto.com at home or in your pocket. You'll save time and money when using Rock Auto because the prices are reliably low for every customer. Go explore their website today. It's easy to use, and you can find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now to see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, locked on in there. How did you hear about us box? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
It's betting line time, Benjamin. I got 4 of them things. They're all fictional lines.
Yes.
I will give them to you, and then we will both decide whether or not we'll take the over or the under. The first one. Yesterday we were talking about Kyle Schwarber and how he's the dude that's just like hitting tanks. Over 40% of his hits are home runs this season, which is like an insane statistic. He has 28 home runs on the year, leads the NL, also leads the NL in runs scored with 61. He's hitting 222, but like, who cares if you've hit 28 home runs? The dude's just a menace. So my first one, Ben, is basically, does Kyle Schwarber homer?
I mean, it's probably
Over under a half.
yeah. I figured this was going to be your one when you start talking about it. I'm going to say yeah. I mean, it's a hitter's ballpark. Blue Jays pitching hasn't seen him a ton, so I kind of give him the edge, I think, in that situation. I'm going to bet yes, but I don't think it is it's not that crazy to bet the other side either. It is only a 2-game set.
Yeah. I think if anybody's going to homer, it probably is him just because he hits so many of them. If you're curious about how he's done against the Blue Jays in his career, he's only ever played 4 games against Toronto. He's had 17 plate appearances, 15 of which count as at-bats. He has 2 hits, both of which are doubles. So a 133 average and a 502 OPS, but a very small sample size that he can turn around very quickly in just 1 plate appearance. I'm going to go no. Just because I'm going to say the Blue Jays can get out of this series. Probably you see him maybe 6 to 8 times at the plate. He doesn't homer in those 6 to 8 at-bats is what I'll say. All right. My second one, Vladimir Guerrero RBIs for the series. Does he have over or under 2.5?
I'm going to go over. I picked this man to be my hype train, and I'm banking on him hitting at least 1 homer in this series. So I'm going to say Vladdy can get over 2.5 to that 3 RBIs.
I'm going to say the same. I can envision him hitting like a 3-run gazoinker to left field. So I'm going to say he does it in one swing, one fell swoop for Vladito. All right, Blue Jays starters, strikeouts for the series. We're seeing Barrios. Who else do you think we're going to see? Is it Stripling?
Is it the place of Gosman because they have the off day?
Well, that was yesterday, wasn't it?
Well, no, because Lawrence started the.
Oh, that was Kikuchi yesterday. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, Lawrence started, but I don't know. Let me see if ESPN lists anyone. I haven't seen who they're planning on putting in his place. That would be Wednesday. Do we have a projected starter for Wednesday?
Bum 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 bum.
My computer is
Bum
going
bum 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 bum.
It says undecided.
All right. Well,
Ross Stripling.
okay. So, assuming it's Barrios and Stripling, do Blue Jays starters have over or under 11 and a half strikeouts over these two games?
I'm gonna go under, just because. I mean, there's a good chance that when Barrios is on, he strikes out a million guys. So he definitely could do this. But if you don't get your best from Barrios, that's asking for a lot of strikeouts off of the back of Ross or Lawrence. I mean, we're assuming Ross, but just in general. So I'm gonna say under. Had this been the lineup it should have been, Barrios Gosman, I'd probably say over. But with no Gosman there and the inconsistency of Barrios, I don't want to bank on him.
Well, I will say, assuming it was Gosman Barrios, I was going to say 14 and a half, which would have been a much different line. I'm going to go over because I think Barrios could potentially do it by himself because he did have a 13 strikeout game this year. Not to say he will do that, but he could. To a lineup that's actually kind of prone to strikeouts. So
True. That is true.
Potential. All right. Well, the last one is Blue Jay bullpen arms used in a 2-game set. Because I did this one before, but I used it. It was like 6.5 or something, or 5.5, which was a botch from me. So I'm going to try and do it right this time. Blue Jays bullpen arm used over or under 8.5. Because you're going to have a Stripling game in there.
Yeah, I think I'm still going to go over.
Wow. 10 guys used, 9 guys used in 2 games.
Now it's not necessarily different guys. It's just bringing it the number.
Just bringing in a guy. Yeah, just bringing in a guy.
Yeah, I think between the potential of like the Stripling game and you know the inconsistency with Barrios and potential that he could get pulled early. Like if he gets pulled early, then who knows how many. I think they're going to use a lot. I also think they're with the power on this team, they might try to avoid guys seeing the big bats too many times and try and really mix up the looks that they're getting as much as you can with the 3-batter minimum. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'll go over.
Okay, I'm going to go under. You're going to get like 6 probably in the Stripling start, like if anywhere from 4 to 6. But I'm going to hope that Barrios can put together a strong performance. And even if he doesn't, like one guy comes in and gives him like 4, then maybe, and then they only have to use a couple after that. Maybe math doesn't add up there, but I'm going to say under anyway. All right. Well, those are our lines. Tomorrow, Ben and I are back doing the recap of game 1. So come here for that. Thanks for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. Now make your second listen. Host Lindsey Crosby at MLB Prospects. He's a prospect encyclopedia going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and it's available wherever you get your podcast. If you made it this far in the episode, write sunshine in the comments section. We will see you tomorrow.